choose a product category that you're passionate about, that you have knowledge of, that you don't mind getting your hands around. And that's really, I know it's kind of vague and kind of a general piece of advice, but I think the specifics flow from that.
I would say try to also find a mentor in the industry if they could.
Well, I appreciate your time today very much. We're excited to get to learn more about your business, how you got started. So yeah, to begin, I'd love to just ask how you decided to get started in the liquidation business, and what led you to direct liquidation.
So our liquidation story is an interesting story. We were both working in the HR industry initially, and I had to stop working due to health reasons, and my parents stayed with us to kind of help us out. And my father said, we should do something to help Chris, kind of bring in some additional income. And so we went and bought some pallets, a pickup truck full of pallets, just to kind of keep ourselves busy. And he didn't want me to get bored, and to kind of help out. And we came home that day and I said, Dad, I really can't unload this pickup. Let's just wait on Chris to help us unload that pickup. And Chris came home early that day.
Because I got fired.
And he came home early and goes, I want to talk to you. And I said, okay, we're an open family. So I said, let's talk. We were all sitting in the living room, and he goes, no, I need to talk to you in private. Let's go upstairs. And oh my God, my heart kind of sank. And I thought he was going to tell me, I'm leaving you, I'm cheating on you, something like that.
My goodness.
We went upstairs and he goes, I lost my job. I said, that's it, honey, go unload that pickup truck. That's fine, no big deal.
Yeah, so thanks to the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008, which displaced a lot of people, including myself, we were able to start our business. And we started in our garage because, we didn't really have our sea legs. We didn't have any expectations, no baseline. And so back then, that was before apps. So the only real platform that you would get any significant traffic from was Craigslist,
so
the old desktop version. So we would just post items on there.
You would hear my dad at 2 a.m. assembling furniture in our living room and formal dining room. And, we kind of got tired because my relatives, I'm of Indian descent. So everybody just shows up whenever to visit. And
they never tell you when they're coming.
You just hear the doorbell, surprise. So we got tired of moving everything out of the formal dining room and cleaning the house every other day. And so I said, we can't do this all the time. So we got storage units, and then from storage units went into
our first warehouse. Now that process from starting in the garage and having it spill over into the house to storage units to our first warehouse was probably 1 year, so as time went on, you gain a little more confidence and you kind of get a better feel for the market. And so, probably 1 year from, losing the job to getting having enough confidence and resources to get the first warehouse.
But I think we knew, being together, that, Chris did not want to work for somebody else long term. Like we wanted our own business. Like I didn't, Chris did. Like he did not want to work for somebody. I think that was one of the things we talked about on our first date, that like within 5 years he wanted his own business.
Yeah, I didn't know what that business would be in. I just knew what it wouldn't be in. So that was the challenge. Like you could make a list of things. Here's different fields for self-employment. I can cross them all out and then I'm left with nothing. So it was just probably very similar to a lot of people in this space. We just kind of fell into it as it had just started to emerge. So it was just timing, maybe.
So we started off just retailing ourselves, and then we grew we saw the retail end of it. And then more and more people came to us asking us for advice. We actually helped other people set up their retail shops and things like that, just, locally, that would come and ask us for advice. And then,
and that naturally led into, from retail to sourcing inventory to other retailers. So we would kind of parlay our retail experience, and people would come and ask, for advice, and they would want to get started. And that's where we would start selling pallets. So we kind of dipped our toes in that, and that went pretty well. And then as time went on, eventually those pallet buyers will convert into semi-load buyers. And so then that's where we're at today. We do retail. We also do pallet sales, but the most growth has been in the semi-load sales.
In the semi-load sales? And that refers to what about like a partial truckload? Is that what you mean?
A whole truckload.
53-foot semi-trailer full.
So we sell the whole truckload to actual brick and mortar stores that do what we do on the retail end.
Gotcha.
And to help them grow, because that's probably the most exciting for both of us, is to see them grow from kind of like what we did, out of their garage or a storage unit into a broker themselves.
Absolutely. And
or at the very least into, a brick and mortar retailer who also does e-commerce. And there's been quite a bit. It probably coincide with there was the recession of 2008, and then the most recent recession, and that spurred, just out of necessity, a lot of people into self-employment. And it's a field where you don't have to have a whole lot of credentials. You don't have to have a degree of some kind. You just have to have a little bit of capital and a lot of work ethic. And, most people probably kind of stumble along a little bit when they first start, then they build relationships with brokers like us. And then we just kind of grow together.
Right.
And since we started on the retail end of it, we kind of understand the struggles of people starting, because when we started, this industry wasn't really known. And so a lot of people weren't out there to be able to help us and mentor us. So we kind of understand what those daily struggles are. So we're able to say, you know what, we know you can't afford a whole truckload right now. We can invoice you a week out if need be.
We'll take our time. The dog ate the invoice. Sorry, we'll have to wait until 2 weeks, to get that invoice. And, so we're flexible with people because we remember what it's like. But we also have, from our retail background, we can tell people what to expect when that truck backs up. Here's what you're going to get. Here's the item condition. Here's what your margins are going to be. Here's how much labor you're going to have to put into this thing. And here's what your profit's going to be. So that's all just gleaned from a retail experience, which probably makes us different from a lot of other brokers. So we're able to offer that part as well. And it's not just here's a truck, you paid for it, good luck, talk to you later. So we go through everything together with the buyer.
I think the emphasis we put on customer service, the individual customer service, because there's weeks that we move probably more truckloads than 2 or 3 brokers put together, but you'll still see Chris and I answering the phone calls at 2 a.m. from an individual truckload buyer, because we know that sometimes those truckloads means food on the table for an individual buyer's family.
Yeah. So I guess overall, there's that shared urgency.
Right.
That, we still understand that because we were there at one point. And so, if a program doesn't have inventory, we're up at 3 a.m. trying to find that buyer something to replace that inventory with, instead of just saying, well, sorry, we can't do anything.
No, you really go the extra mile.
Yeah, but enough. I guess that doesn't really get to your question. That was more like tooting of horn, which
No,
But
you
that
answered
helps.
several questions in one, so great
But
job.
it's kind, I guess, kind of a chronological kind of thing. You know, Chris loses job. Chris is full of fear.
Rupal gives Chris a swift pick in the tush.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. About 5 seconds later, now go get that stuff out of the truck.
We got bills to pay.
Let's get to work. And it's partly just luck, right? Like I said, losing the job just coincided with the emergence of this reverse logistics on a larger scale. It was growing about then.
Right.
So part of it's luck, but then, you know, the old Gary Player quote, the more I practice, the luckier I get. So then as time has gone on and we got more experience, we found we've been getting luckier. But yeah, pretty much retail in the garage. And then it took about a year to get the first warehouse. And then right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations in the state of Indiana.
And I have to go back and say, it's not all about luck. You meet great reps such as Jordan, Carlos.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The more we practice, the luckier we get, because ultimately the business is about relationships. So, you know, Carlos in particular, GoTRG generally has been very helpful. They're a little different from other companies because they have dedicated sales reps. And so they're not that, you know, big, massive thing that's unapproachable. They personalize it to the best they can. And it's really helped our growth. You know, a couple other programs that we do on a pretty large scale, we source from them. And that's a result of relationships. So, yeah.
So how did you decide what products to start out with? Were you always focusing on furniture, or did you kind of get there along the way?
I think we started with furniture because Rupal and I chatted about it initially and did a little bit of research, and you sit back and go, which product categories have the highest return rate? When you have a piece of assembled furniture, it's not a television that won't work in 30 days. Unless something really weird happens, that piece of furniture is still going to be a piece of furniture. So it cut that out on the back end so we could focus on selling and, you know, coming out of the gate, building those resources so we could get that first warehouse. And once we kind of discovered the market for that in Indianapolis, we just kept with furniture because we were sourcing at a good quality stuff at a good price.
And the repair end of it, my father at that time was healthy and able to help us do a lot of the repairs, and he enjoyed it. So it kept him occupied.
As a twofer.
So furniture, we kind of became our baby at that point. I think at one point we were known as the white guy with the brown chick that sold TV stands and wall mounts.
Yeah, TV stands and TV wall mounts was our bread and butter for several years.
And then, you know, with time, we just started expanding into different furniture items. And then when we started doing pallet flipping, Lowe's was introduced to us by someone else in the industry, and we brought it in. Our customers wanted it, so we started expanding into Lowe's, and then Walmart through GoTRG, you know. And as we expanded, people started finding us, calling us, going, "Hey, can you get this? Can you get this?" And it wasn't something that we actually went out and needed, like searched for, I guess, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
The demand, lead the way.
In particular, through GoTRG with Lowe's is such an attractive price point for new buyers that it's just very difficult. Other programs are probably 3 times as much for the cost for one semi-load. So Lowe's, it's just more of a lower price point. And if you're just getting started, it's perfect because you're sourcing that Lowe's inventory very inexpensively. And so then it becomes very amenable to doing the local Facebook marketplace sales and the e-commerce sales with it. It's not a big investment up front like a lot of programs are for that first semi-load. Lowe's is very inexpensive, and that's in large part a result of GoTRG's pricing,
Right. So in terms of pricing, what would you recommend someone who's just starting out? What sort of capital do they need to have to begin?
Boy, we get asked that quite a bit. The capital required to begin.
Mm-hmm. Day one.
So we wouldn't go off the capital. We actually gave this advice to somebody that was recently starting. We would do it off of what you actually enjoy doing. So, for example, if you're somebody who hates tools, don't buy a Lowe's truckload, because every liquidated item, unless you're going to go high end and try to buy all new, there's repair involved. There's damaged items. And if you don't like it, you're not going to take the time to try to fix it, to try to figure out a way to make money with those damaged items. And you're not going to make money off that truckload then.
Yeah. So rather than giving somebody like, oh, you'll need, at least $10,000 to get started for your overhead and for your inventory, it's more of a general question like, which product category are you passionate about? Which product category are you familiar with? Do you have skill in? Right? So like Rupal's saying, if you get a Lowe's truck and it has a bunch of home improvement product and you're just not into that, then you're not going to take that extra effort to take an item which may be a customer return and make it work for your profitability. That's just the most general point. I think everything would flow out of that, really.
Sure.
In terms of capital, it just depends on what scale somebody wants to start. We get buyers that, they'll have a 20,000 square foot warehouse with 2 loading docks on day one. And then you have other people, they have their garage and they have storage units.
And those people will be very successful. And the one with the 20,000 square foot warehouse will fail miserably because they won't be able to do anything with the damaged items, and they'll just have this big pile of junk in their mind, which is truly your profit sitting there.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say, though, just playing devil's advocate, someone loves furniture just like you, and they want to just get started and start fixing stuff out of their garage. What would you say is that minimum entry point for them?
For their first semi-load, I would say, depending on the retailer, $6,000 to $10,000.
Okay. And they can even start off smaller and just do pallets if they want to.
Yeah, they could do that. There's oftentimes with pallets, then you get to the question of freight. How much does it cost to get delivered to you? And would you rather get one pallet delivered to you for $500 or 26 pallets, a full semi, delivered to you for $1,500, right? So then it becomes that question of spreading out the cost of your freight across your inventory.
Absolutely.
So
then it behooves that person to pay a little extra up front to get that full semi, assuming they have the space for it.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, what I'm hearing is it's relatively approachable for anyone.
Yes.
I would agree. I would strongly agree with that. And like I said, it just depends on what scale somebody wants to start. We have one of our facilities retails furniture, but also sells pallets. And so you have people with full-time jobs who will buy, a handful of pallets a week and take them home, put them in the garage, and they'll sell them locally on Facebook Marketplace, or they'll just sell them on e-commerce. And it's kind of a side hustle
Yeah.
for them. I have one buyer in particular who does that. He might be outside of the norm because he's extremely intelligent and very motivated, but he has a full-time job. And one time he bought 3 semis from us, and he literally just, like the storage units, he has every single unit at the facility.
Uh-huh.
So he texted me a picture. He's like, look, I finished unloading all 3. Like he had to back up and do like this panoramic picture because he basically had the entire thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned starting out in eBay, I believe. How about fast forward to today? What are your primary channels where you sell your merchandise?
For retail, it's local only. We don't do e-commerce with that. For pallet sales, that's retail. Because of what I mentioned with the cost of the freight, it just doesn't behoove somebody to do that. It's better for them to purchase it locally. And for the semi-load sales at this point, it's a lot of repeat and referral business primarily. We don't really do a lot of advertising for our quote unquote brokering business, the semi-load sales. It's to this point just repeat and referral business and word of mouth, thankfully.
I'm knocking on some wood.
Knock on wood. Obviously, as time goes on, we're going to have to invest in more kind of advertising for that as we take on more programs and try to grow our buyer base. But for now, that's what it is.
Yeah, you mentioned your stellar customer service, so I'm sure that helps with getting referrals, right?
I would like to think so, but I think not just customer service, but realistic customer service, not trying to oversell somebody just for the sake of one transaction. Right. So we have a relationship-based model, not a transaction-based model. And so, like I mentioned earlier, given our retail experience, we can tell that person what to expect before that truck even gets to them. So it's a realistic, more of a hard-nosed numbers thing. Like, here's what you spent, here's what you're going to make. If you adjust it by this much %, here's how much more you'll make. And here's what we've done in the past. And maybe this would help you. Here's our Facebook page. Every now and then, we tweak this and tweak that, maybe that would work for you. At the very least, it's options for that person.
Here's what we did that did not work, so don't do this. This is what you'll lose money on.
Maybe that'll work for them, but at least it's options, different ideas, instead of just, here's a truck, good luck, bye.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, really, you're offering free consulting along with the products.
Yeah, but for example, I had a customer wanting a truckload this week, actually, and another customer of ours bought a similar product, and the truckload, it was the first time we had bought that truckload and offered it, and it was a horrible truckload. And we got pictures of it, and so we told the other buyer, he asked for it again, and I said, I strongly do not recommend this truckload, and it saved him probably $7,000-8,000.
Wow, that's very honest of you.
Yeah, in this business, because it's liquidated merchandise, you're going to have a range of item condition. You'll have everything from new to box damage to open box to customer returns to salvage.
Right.
And so if you come across a new program and those first 1 or 2 trucks are heavier on the salvage item condition, you're not just going to push that on somebody. You're going to be realistic and work with them on future loads.
Right. So what do you do with those pallets that are, filled with a lot of damaged items? How do you ultimately process them yourselves?
So if they've been brought in-house, they end up either getting put into, like, we process them and put them into a retail store, or if, like, we've sold a semi truck and it's been sold as a 24 pallet truck, but there's still room on it, we just tell the customer that bought that, hey, we sold you a 24 pallet truck, but we're putting 26 pallets on it.
Okay.
So if you have a semi-load buyer who got a substandard truck, you work with that buyer on future purchases. Like, hey, we'll give you a little bit of a credit towards the next handful of loads. If it's a load that we have out of one of our warehouses, when we load it, we'll make sure we jam pack it so there's no space left in the trailer. So you got 2 or 3 extra pallets. That way, over time, that'll add up and compensate for that substandard load they got initially.
We've ended up refunding truckloads. We've ended up sending extra truckloads like free of charge to make up for like a totally damaged truckload.
Which will happen, not often, but you have to address that because, again, it's not a one transaction, it's a relationship. So
absolutely. And in your process of sourcing pallets from your vendors, do you have a certain strategy to try to select the highest quality pallets, or is the fact that you get damaged ones sometimes just sort of part of the process of doing business in the space?
So I think it's just part of the process, right? Because our vendors don't go in and go, okay, well, we're going to pick 26 pallets just for you. We understand that they're not in there. Our sales reps are probably not even in the same state as where our merchandise is being pulled from. So they don't have a say, right? We get the name of the game. They're in there to just move truckloads, right? No telling how many truckloads per day they're moving. So we get that.
Yeah, basically, again, it goes back to that realistic customer service. It's liquidation. It is what it is. So there's a degree of that to it, that realism. Mm-hmm. But given that, a person can still make a living doing it, whether it's their side hustle or they're doing it full time.
And our vendors know that if we get a really, really bad truckload,
then we'll talk to them about getting some kind of compensation, right? So then what we do for our buyers, the vendor will hopefully do for us.
Absolutely.
So so it definitely goes both ways. So again, that's about relationships too, but in this case, not from us to the buyer, but from the vendor to us.
Makes sense.
So it just goes back to relationships.
So overall, how would you say you've adapted your strategy from the time you launched in 2008, you said?
And volume. You have to do volume now. You make less per unit, so you have to make it up with volume. You can still have that great customer service. You just have to do more because the cost of a semi-load in the past 10 years has at least tripled because more people are entering the space and the vendors know that there's more demand, right? So given that, you just have to do more volume if you want to do brokering. I would make the case even with retail, you have so many more people that are doing retail that you have to be price competitive. You have to be very sensitive to that. It's the secondary market. So price is the first thing on everybody's list.
And you really have to value that relationship and take time with each individual person because
even at the retail level. So to answer the question how it's changed at every level, whether you're retailing individual items, you're selling pallets, or you're selling semi-loads, you just have to do more volume but maintain customer service.
Seems tricky.
Well, that's how it is anymore, right? Pretty much with everything.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come in and they're going to see that same sofa at your place as they do any other liquidator. So what's going to differentiate you? They're going to remember your smile, your customer service, your environment, and say, yeah, that place treated me better than that person responded to my question quicker on their Facebook page versus the other place. And that's going to make them come back to you.
Absolutely. So to keep up with that, have you had to hire a team of people to help, like customer service or anyone in logistics?
Oh yeah, all our warehouses are fully staffed. There's no way, we have an incredible team at our warehouses. There's no way we could do that on our own by any means.
Yeah.
we have staff to help us on the brokerage and to getting ready to hire one more. There's no way I would be able to stay sane. And the minute I start getting gray hair and wrinkles, I start stressing.
Time to hire someone new, right?
Yes.
Indicator.
It would not, we would not have a happy marriage otherwise, you know, when you work with your spouse and 24/7.
Yes, I give you two a lot of credit. So how many people do you have on staff total?
Oh boy, company-wide, I would say between 20 and 30. Between 20 and 30.
We are getting ready to add more. We're getting ready to open another location in Evansville,
So
Indiana.
that'll probably push it up to 30 to 40. So I mean, you know, we're small fries. We're your textbook small business. You know, locally owned and operated small business, that kind of deal.
Your mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
Hey, that's incredible though, to go from you two and your dad, I think you mentioned, to
Yes.
people. And how many warehouses total again?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be 5.
It'll be 5. Yeah, that's incredible. Do you have plans to open up in different states, or is this sticking it in?
That's undetermined. I'm, you know, a big fan of incremental risk and not just going nuts.
And I'm total opposite.
So it's a good, you know, you add me and my wife and divide it by 2, and that equals what you probably should do, right? So it's definitely a consideration, but for now the focus is on growing the brokering side of the business. That's kind of where the emphasis is going to be in the short and medium run.
We kind of do what our customers kind of lead us to do.
Yeah, that too. You know, we're not going to spend all day and trying to jam a square peg in a round hole. You know, if retail is where it's at and that's what customers want, then we'll focus our resources to the retail. But there's a growing base of customers for the brokering side of the business. So that's where our attention's been lately.
Makes sense. And are you thinking to stick with furniture, or are you interested in trying other programs?
For retail? Oh boy, that's a good question.
So Evansville is definitely furniture. Our brokerage, we're interested in everything pretty much. Because we actually get phone calls daily for everything. And we start our little wait list.
Most likely though, for retail, that's our identity. So we'll stick with furniture. We've done it for a while. So we'll stick with that. For the brokering side, you just have such a diverse base out there that we are open to just a variety of product categories for brokering.
Right. And for retail?
I'm sorry, currently we broker other programs and are looking into starting other programs too right now, so that we should hopefully have here in the next month or so.
Great. And within retail, what would you say your top selling product or kind of subcategory is within furniture?
Sectionals.
Oh yeah, sectionals and sofas tend to go the fastest.
Interesting.
And
so I would think it'd be more like tables, or, you know, kitchen tables, end tables, but.
You know, in Indianapolis, probably like a lot of places, the housing market has just been beyond robust here for a period of years. And so you get buyers, they want to get the big stuff first and then the smaller accent pieces later. So you move into a house, you want that sectional or sofa first, and then you can wait a month or 2 to get those end tables, right? So the big stuff tends to be the most popular.
That makes sense. And then it probably gets worn out faster.
Yeah, and then you'll get that same customer will come back, you know, 2 or 4 weeks later. They had purchased a sectional or a sofa initially. When they come back, they're most likely looking for smaller accent pieces.
Yeah, makes sense. So what would you say your best advice that you could offer to newcomers would be that are entering this space? What would be your best advice to get started?
Pretty much what we mentioned earlier. Choose a product category that you're passionate about, that you have knowledge of, that you don't mind getting your hands around. And that's really, I know it's kind of vague and kind of a general piece of advice, but I think the specifics flow from that.
I would say try to also find a mentor in the industry if they could, because otherwise it kind of gets stressful if they don't have somebody to chat with. I was going to say go have drinks with.
Quote unquote. A chat with and a hefty bar tab with. Yeah, I would agree with that too. So kind of threefold advice. Number one, passion. Number two, a mentor. And number three, at what scale do you want to start? You know, you don't want to get a bunch of overhead incurred before you even have your first sale, because then you're going to feel like you're running uphill for a period of time.
Right. You know, Chris and I were lucky we had each other to throw ideas off of each other with. And my father had a lot of business experience, so we had him to go to when we wanted to go back and forth when we initially started. With his health issues, he's not there as much for us for business guidance now, but luckily we've met other people in the industry that we can turn to now. But as we've grown, if we did not have those other people in the industry or my father, it would have been very difficult for us. And so as you're starting to have somebody to throw ideas off of, I think that's very beneficial.
Yeah.
Don't go at it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who can, but you know, they're definitely few and far between. And
absolutely.
But that definitely helps, having at the very least a sounding board. You know, somebody who can tell you, listen, don't buy that product category for a semi-load because we've done it and here's what's going to happen to you. So stay away from that. Go back to this product category instead. It's going to be more profitable for you and less headaches. So that's where a useful broker comes in. Instead of just trying to sell you and get you, you know, just do a transaction, that's where the relationship comes back, right? Or like you said, kind of free consulting, like.
Or sometimes you just get the urge, like sometimes you'll get the urge to just, you get somebody sends you something, it looks great, but a second set of eyes, even if it's not a broker or somebody in the industry, to say, let's look at it from this viewpoint. It's not that great of a deal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which we have had happen before. So.
Yeah. So is there anything I haven't asked about your business, your future plans, your advice or insights that you might want to mention? This is your soapbox.
No, I think I did the soapbox. I think we did the soapbox thing earlier, but companies like, you know, I guess this is kind of a shameless, obvious plug, but a company like GoTRG is fairly rare in this industry because of their dedicated sales reps. You get a lot of companies, they're not approachable, and you cannot get a hold of anybody. You call and it gets directed to a voicemail and nobody calls you back. You fill out that little customer request thing online and hit submit, and you never hear from anybody.
Right.
GoTRG, they've been really, really good to us. They've been a valuable partner in our growth, and in large part because they take the time to build relationships through their dedicated sales reps. That's very important.
Right.
I think it's, our thing is customer service and relationships. And I think that's not only for our customers, but for our vendors. And the vendors we choose tend to have the same philosophies as we do. It's all about customer service and relationships.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time. It's great hearing your story, and I'm so happy that you've had a great experience with GoTRG.